Cool. So I'm here with Christopher. Why don't you take a minute to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Christian. So I'm Christopher Pepe, as a founder of Praecipio Consulting. As we have grown and evolved, and the big company that we are now, I head up our software development organization. We're services oriented. We're not really marketplace. And on top of that, I'm working with our DevOps team and kind of building out that whole practice. And it's been an interesting decade and a half in the Atlassian ecosystem. How things have changed.
Yeah, I certainly lost a lot of hair on the way.
But I haven't lost, turned gray. I just keep it all short now, so it blends in a little better.
Fair enough. So, we've been in the marketplace 10 years now. So what was Praecipio like in 2013, 2012, 2013?
Yeah.
It's like a long time ago, doesn't it?
It was a long time ago. 2013, so we shifted our business to be purely Atlassian around 2011 or so. Back then it was Talon Bowie. So Lynn was our manager. She came in, she was a Houston girl, so she loved Christian and Joe being Texas boys, and I was really into food. She liked my Twitter feed, so she kind of took a shine to us, and we said, all right, let's do this thing. And we started just driving into Atlassian projects, and we were just taking anything that came along. It was a grind. It was just the three of us. By 2013, we had probably grown to about 10 or so.
Wow.
And we had just got our first office. Actually, remember, we went to South by Southwest. Atlassian, I think it was 2013. They did a kind of like a guerrilla campaign at South by Southwest, where they dressed up in giant bug costumes, and they had squashing bugs or something like that. And they're handing out hot sauce, these Atlassian hot sauce bottles. I still have a few of those.
I saw one a long time ago.
Yeah. It was just a funny, goofy time. We were just beginning. They were a small company, and it was just a bunch of people trying to figure out how to make it work. But we had just got our first office that week, and we didn't have any furniture. It was just an empty space, an old house, just a big empty space. And at 2 a.m. or whatever, Christian and I ended up back at the office. We were too late, too tired to go out to his house, which was a ways away. We kind of just made a pile of t-shirts on the floor, and we slept on the floor. And that was what the company was back then. It was just you just had to grind it up.
Memories.
Oh, it was amazing. It was such a wonderful time. It was so hard. You're so little, and you're so fragile, and you're always just 1 inch from going out of business.
But then these make the real great achievements, doesn't it?
They do.
That's really the time you remember. It's not all the comfy times and the greatness. It's when you actually go through.
And that's where you really you build team too. The suffering that we went through and the successes that we had. Those are the things that it brings you close together, and it teaches you how to operate together. So we were so close for a long time that we always knew what the other person was thinking. It's actually one of the changes now that we're growing so fast now, and most of the company is new, and most of the company are people I don't know, and we're entirely remote. Learning how to collaborate in that environment is totally different. That's been a muscle I've really had to start to work.
I can imagine. I mean, similar for us, but also I think talking to or knowing a lot of the other people in the ecosystem, I think it's a lot of also stories from starting from scratch and building a company. So how big is Praecipio now?
Right now, we're about 150. I think we're probably a little north of there, but that's probably 3x of what we were 2 years ago.
So what did you learn along the way around entrepreneurship and things?
Every day is such a great learning opportunity. This has been such a humbling journey. I've had amazing success, right? It's very few people that get to have the level of success that we've had in our companies. But it is the constant failure that teaches you so much, and just the constant struggle. And we always grew really slowly, and we were a very stable company. And now that we've shifted into a much faster growth, that's been a really big change for me. I think over the years, one of the things I always go back to is that I've worked really hard, and I have sacrificed a lot, and I've taken big chances and all of that stuff. I'm a smart guy and all those things. But really, we met Lynn, and she was from Texas and loved food. That was a connection that we made that was just dumb luck.
Yeah,
so she took a shine to us. And I have, like, going all the way back to my childhood, I have this long string of just chance encounters that created an opportunity, and I took that opportunity and it got me a little bit ahead, which gave me the next opportunity. So I don't know, I find myself really humbled by the success, because really it was just a bunch of chance encounters. It could have happened to anyone, but it happened to me, and I got lucky.
That is a great story, and it's always interesting, and I get interviewed, so if you tell the story now, it always looks like a straight line.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like, oh yeah, we planned all of this from the beginning, had this great vision of building that huge company and so on, but when you actually, while you're going the way, it never actually feels very straight. You have your ups and downs and those kind of things, and I think you need to do a lot of things right, but even if other people do a lot of things right, there's a good bit of luck or good timing or lucky timing involved as well. And only when all of those things come together, that's really where those paths are built. And looking back, it looks so easy and straightforward, but walking the way isn't.
It's probably easier to remember, like, most of the successes and, like, the really big failures. There's a lot of little missteps along the way I've probably forgotten about. But it's good that, one thing that's been nice about the Atlassian ecosystem is, first of all, it's such a friendly environment. Even though we're all competitors, we're all friends. And I think that still largely remains true today.
Very true.
But also it's an environment where there's so much opportunity and it's growing so fast that as a young entrepreneur, even those times where you get a big head you think you can't possibly do wrong, and then you make a huge mistake and crater your company, you can recover from it and you can rebuild. This has been an environment where we've had that opportunity to take big chances, make big mistakes, but still be able to recover from it.
But I also feel that's also true with our customers. I've worked in other industries where customers would kill you for just being a little bit lame, not even making a big mistakes, I think. But with the customers we're also pretty lucky in terms of that are actually understanding of when you go wrong or fucked up here, and this is the way I'm gonna make it right again, and they stay with you.
I think actually I was watching the keynote this morning, and one of the things I was reflecting on is that, like, Scott and Mike are just such genuine people. They're like the richest people in Australia now or whatever. They become huge successes in life, and they're still, like, relatively approachable, reasonable people. They really care about their employees. They care about the people that use their products. They want the best of those people. It's kind of a rare trait, especially in billionaires. This is not a time where people are particularly enamored with billionaires. And those are two of the guys I still can point to of, like, they're not all bad. Like, these guys really do genuinely care, and they're down to earth. You can, they live in a different world than I live in, but they can still relate and understand.
Yeah, they haven't taken off, and that's very true. So how was your relationship? How was it working with Jira at the time when you started?
Well, if I can go all the way back to 2004, actually my first real job out of college, I worked for this. I worked for my boss, this head of an IT organization, but he was just a great visionary. He had a great eye for technology. So way back in 2004, he had picked out Firefox and Jira as these two things, which both went on to, like, great success. But they were unheard of back then. So my first job in that IT organization was partly as the Jira administrator, and in using that tool, I was like, this is like. There really is something. This is a great product. So I loved it so much that I took it with me to my next couple of jobs. And then I ended up meeting Christian and Joe, and we kind of turned Praecipio into an Atlassian shop and kept going down that path. But I owe it all back to that first kind of encounter and that visionary leader that said, hey, this is a great product. You should know about this.
So when do you think you started to really believing in, hey, we can build a company on
I was actually already there before I even met Christian and Joe, before I even knew about Praecipio. Early on I knew Jira was different, and as I moved other places, I actually can't even remember the names of the. Track was one of them. It was like subversion and issue tracking and a wiki kind of thing. I was like, it was a good tool. I liked it, but it was very limited if you had used Jira. And in the professional enterprise world, we're using SharePoint and things like that, and Excel spreadsheets. Where you're your workflow is like a select list, and you're picking the next status in the select list. And like, this is ridiculous. There's actually a tool that does this. So I already knew there was a lot of opportunity there.
I still keep thinking that today when people use excellent, it's like, there's a better way.
Yeah, I keep going back to it. But when we met Lynn, that was the catalyst. That was the inflection point for us. We had decided we wanted to lean into Atlassian because we had a bunch of different tech partners, and that was the one that we saw the most runway with, and that was the most engaged with us. We could see the vision of where Atlassian wanted to go, and we knew we could draft off of that.
I don't think you could have picked the worst one, hey?
Yeah, I mean, that's we pinch ourselves all the time. Like there couldn't have been a better horse to strap your car to.
Very true. So, I mean, obviously, doing everything, nearly everything yourself at the beginning. So, how's your role changed, and how do you feel you've grown yourself?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back to 3 people, like you're doing your sales, your marketing, your delivery, you're mopping up your own mess. It worked out well because we were set up where I came much more from like an engineering background, software development, systems administration, all the kind of DevOps stuff. We'd wrap it up as today, and then my other partner was much more on the kind of process side. So I'd say, like, I don't think we thought about it back then, but really like at the Scrum Master is kind of where we saw the divide, like Scrum Master up, product owner up through like C-suite, analytics, BI, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He really owned all of that, and I owned the software development, build and release engineering, systems administration, all that kind of stuff. And then as we started building teams, we continued to stay in those areas and then just build up expertise. So, you move from doing the work to managing people, but also doing the work and doing the sales. You have to get pretty big before you can take off a lot of your hats.
Yeah.
It's really actually just now that we've hit this size that we're at and we have the structure that we do that we've really started to focus in on, this group of people is focused on enterprise agility or ITSM or something like that.
Did you actually find it hard to let go of some of those things? And
incredibly difficult. About a year and a half ago, we brought in a private equity partner, transition to this growth mindset. We have new C-suite, new executive, new ideas, new thought leadership, new approaches of doing things that they're just not like, it's not what we would have done, and it's hard to have been in that seat for so long and then yield that and start to follow someone else who is doing something that you wouldn't have done. Like, even though it's not wrong, it's just different. But that's an incredibly difficult transition. And I think anyone else that builds up a company and sells it, like you can't underestimate how emotionally difficult it is to go through that journey. Even if you stay in the CEO seat, just having someone else kind of dictating the direction of the company.
To a degree, your own baby that you sell.
Yeah, it really is. I underestimated how emotionally attached I was to what we were. And it absolutely gets in the way of growth. So I've had to shed a lot of that so that we can keep growing into what we're going to become.
Okay, so what keeps you engaged? What keeps you working at Praecipio?
Well, so I love the Atlassian ecosystem. I was really attracted to this way back when, it was plugins.atlassian.com. Yeah. So back when I was an administrator, I'd have a problem to solve and I found plugins and I'd find out, somebody at Sony had the same problem and they wrote a plugin, they put it in this place for free. And if you didn't know how to use it, you'd call up Bob Swift, you'd email Bob Swift and he'd email you back. And it was just such a warm and welcoming, inviting community. And I was really engaged in the open source community, especially back then. Embedded Linux on the Blackfin, that was kind of like the biggest push I made in the open source and open hardware world. So I really liked that community, the community on the internet. I grew up in a real small rural place. So having the ability to access anyone in the world and kind of find my people, that changed my life. And then the Atlassian ecosystem was just like the next version of that for my professional career. And even to this day, it is still that kind of like learning, caring, nurturing environment. Whereas a lot of other tech giants ecosystems are not like that. They're not fun places, but this environment is. So the grass is really green on this side. The work that I do is really fun and engaging. One of the nice things, it's really hard to make the pivot. I've got to set down all of the hardest things about being, the chief of the company and running the organization, having to worry about, sales and profitability. And I have to worry about it for my piece of the company, but not overall. having to worry about like, is everyone going to make, are we going to make payroll? There's some like real lean times you go through. Like you worry about a lot of stuff, and now I get to just focus on software development, on DevOps, on that technology that I was so passionate about that brought me into this in the first place.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that. I've been running a much bigger size company in the past, and I was good at it, but at the same point I didn't enjoy it. And I think it's great if you can come back to a job that really has a lot of the features that you can enjoy. And I think going through journeys like that, I feel it also helps you to understand yourself better. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Then if you're not too ego attached on a title, then I think it's you have a great chance to build really the thing that you want to do and that you enjoy doing. And where you're really good at.
Yeah, I'd say every step of our growth right from day one has been great learning opportunities. I mean, I have transformed myself more times than I can imagine. The company itself has transformed. Our most recent shift has been the most dramatic one, but I used to always tell people, like, just wait 6 months, you won't recognize the company. We'll be a totally different company. We're gonna be in a different place, we'll have different problems. What you're worrying about today, we're not gonna be worrying about that then. And that's remained true, both for me and for the company.
That's cool. So if you look back, are there any outstanding things that you say, no, I wouldn't do that again, or?
There are definitely like, there's really painful things. A thing that happened, I don't remember when, it was quite a while ago, maybe 2016 or something, but we grew too fast. Actually, a lot of the big tech giants just went through the exact same thing. We grew too fast and we didn't have the sales to support it, and we had to lay off a ton of people. That was one of the most excruciating events I've ever had to go through professionally. And I wouldn't say like, I don't know, I wouldn't go back and change it necessarily, but I would if I don't know. That's the one that I'm on the edge with. But if I didn't go through that, it wouldn't have turned me into what I am. I learned so much from it, but I learned it at the expense of other people's jobs. So I don't want to make light of that in any way. But otherwise, all the wins and all the losses, it's what got us. We wouldn't be here today if we didn't have all of those things. So I don't know that I'd want to undo any of them. Yeah,
I mean, I could totally relate to that again. It's you wouldn't be the same person if you didn't go through that. And it's part of that up and down that we have in the cycles that we have in business. And if we wouldn't make mistakes, we probably wouldn't have even tried to build it in the first place. So we wouldn't have all those jobs out there in there. So
and your mistakes humble you, and your successes inflate your ego. So if you only have successes, you start to think you're a big deal. And one thing that I have learned is like we all play our role, right? And you can be really important in your role, but you as a person could leave the organization, and
life goes on.
If there's a dip, they'll recover from it. Life goes on.
Absolutely. So you've grown a lot over the last years and recently via acquisitions. So what's your overall strategy? Where do you want to go?
I mean, really what we want to do is bring the most value that we can to our customers. Obviously, as a business, we want to grow into our customers. We want to sell more. We want to do more work. But we want to do that by solving their problems. We have always been very aligned with Atlassian, especially the concept of team. So we really want to do is enable people. We want to let them set up their tools to facilitate the work that they do. If you talk to any engineer ever, anything that's not their IDE, they hate it. They don't want to engage with it. They don't want to use it. That's why I think
never heard that.
when Atlassian brought in triggers, and you could have, I make my pull, or I make my branch, I make my pull request, I merge my pull request, and Jira moves the ticket through the lifecycle. To me, that's probably like the most innovative thing that's ever happened in this ecosystem. As a developer, I just do my job. I don't care about your stupid thing. And as product owner or anyone else in your stand-up, Jira accurately reflects exactly what I am doing, as opposed to me having to keep the two things in sync. That is what best exemplifies what I want to do for our customers. I want people to enjoy their jobs. I want them to use their brain cycles on innovating and solving hard problems, not fighting with their tools or complaining about whatever they don't like about their job.
That's a pretty nice vision, eh? That's it. So, I mean, we've met at many events. You've been to many more than I have because you've been around longer.
Yeah.
Is there any event, anything that really sticks out in your memory?
There is. I mean, hands down, the best Atlassian events ever were the Atlas camps at Half Moon Bay. So I don't know if you ever got to go to one of those, but so back then,
but nearly everyone gives that answer, Half Moon Bay.
It was amazing. So I mean, this is a much more kind of business-oriented event, and the European Atlas camps were more business-oriented events, which is great. We need industry events. We have to do that. Atlas camp was just a bunch of engineers trading tips and tricks and stories. So the Atlassians, they would put together presentations, and then they would have this kind of battle royale. Where the best presentations got to the next level, so that by the time they got to Atlas Camp, they'd already given this talk 4 or 5 times. It was the best of the best, and they just talked about like the bowels of Jira, like the deepest little back ends, how we built this, how we built that. When Backbone.js was kind of a big thing, like they came in and talked about how they use that in Confluence, and it wasn't this like lofty idea of like, look at the like the AI thing this morning was really cool, but it doesn't exactly tell you like how you're going to solve hard problems, right? And that was where like as the consultant that's on the ground working with a customer, you're not running into those problems. You're running into the real hard problems where like the bits line up or they don't. You either did the upgrade or you didn't. And at Atlas Camp, that was where we talked about solving those problems, and you could bring your challenges there. I mean, you had unparalleled access to people. I wrote secure content at Atlas Camp one year, which was an app that I wrote a while ago. AppFire owns it now. And there was parts of the SDK that just didn't make sense. I couldn't get past them. And there were Atlassians there that would sit down and they would work through it. So yeah, it was an unparalleled experience. So it was also really early in Praecipio's career. So, it was kind of like it was a very like fanboy kind of place to be. Like, it's just you get to be with your heroes in an environment where you're talking about the stuff that you're just so passionate about. Yeah,
I think nowadays the app weeks are the thing that comes closest to still that experience. But no, it's listen. I'm really sad I missed Half Moon Bay, so I was too late. Definitely too late for that. Well, is there anything else I should have asked you?
I mean, you should have asked me about how we think your products are so awesome, I guess. So like your SSO integration has been, it's famously like it's our favorite app like in the world. We've been championing it forever.
No, I'm blushing, hey.
Even as other solutions have come out, our engineers always come back and go, well, but it allows us to do this user management feature. There's always something about it, or like there's just nothing that touches it. So it's it's just the easy sale. Everyone believes in it so much that it's really easy to convince a customer you really need this tool.
That's very humbling, but it also means a lot to us. But I think that's also the nice thing about having the customer relationships that we get in this ecosystem is we didn't come up out of the blue with all those features. It was a lot by the customer requests, and I think our job then very often is to take what the customer wants. Think of what does he really want to achieve, and then see how can we best implement that it benefits all customers, or that it's most flexible. And that's really sort of the challenge and the fun about that gets me up in the morning that I really like.
Yeah. You've always been very approachable as well, and you've always taken feedback and feature requests and things like that. I mean, I've always found your whole organization is always wants to talk, always wants to hear how you can be better. And you've actually built quite a few of the things in your products that we have needed to solve problems for our customers.
Yeah, but I think that's why I never understand why people react negatively to feedback. Because if someone takes the time to give you feedback, even if it's sometimes like, oh, this is crap. He still cares about you. I think that the dangerous thing is if people stop talking to you, because then they've given up on you, or they don't care about you. So I never understand why people react negatively. I mean, I might have the first 30 seconds like, and then, oh no, he's actually trying to tell me something, and that's something important. And that's really where I think a lot of our products did I imagine 10 years ago this single sign-on user thing is going to be a humongous app with all of those features?
Yeah.
Hell no. I thought, oh, it solves our problem. Maybe someone else has that too, and that's why we've thrown it in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And it's been an incredible journey from there. But it's also the other way around. We couldn't have done that with all the partners and the partners engaging, because you guys are the ones that are in front of the customer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually only get to talk to a customer when he already decided to buy a product or he's trying it. But the people really see, this customer has a challenge, and here the resolution plugin or the AppFire plugin, that's where it could help. That's really you and you guys on the ground to do that. That is great if that works so seamlessly.
Yeah, I feel so lucky to have had this path in mind.
Okay. No. I thank you for taking the time.
Christian,
it's been good fun.
Congratulations on 10 years. It's a huge achievement.
Thank you.
Keep it up. We
old?
love working with you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
That was really fun. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.